From the beautiful city of Los Angeles, California, we bring you the Gimme Three podcast. Hello and welcome, cinephiles, cinema lovers, and movie appreciators to the Gimme Three podcast. It's the podcast where we normally pick three films connected by one theme, but last week, this week, and next week, we are doing only one film. That is because for this 3-week period, we are going in real deep on the Lord of the Rings trilogy, something that I have been promising to my wife and Gimme Three producer Sonja Mereu for a really long time. Come to think of it, maybe this is the only reason she wanted us to do the podcast in the first place. Perhaps it's the only reason that she is helping out and working as a producer on the podcast was she was playing the long game to finally get me to watch these films, which I at one point was not a fan of. But as we talked about last week, as we discussed the Fellowship of the Ring, I enjoyed the Fellowship of the Ring way more than I did in my initial viewing 20 some odd years ago. And now we are going to go into the second installment of this iconic trilogy, The Two Towers.
And welcome back to Middle Earth.
Hold on, before we get into it, how soon did The Two Towers come out after 9/11?
Oh, I was like a year. Oh, it was a year after the first movie. It came out in December of 2002.
So pretty soon.
December of 2002.
Pretty soon. I was just thinking.
They were definitely already filming it.
Yeah.
Before that. But, stuck to their guns. They didn't change the title.
Right. Well, just like remember everybody was trying to get Anthrax, the metal band, to change their name, and they're like, no, we're Anthrax.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
People are silly. Yeah, they could have, I guess, tried to. No, you couldn't. That would be so bad if they changed the name of this movie. So, shall we dive right in?
Yeah.
Fill the people in on what they've missed if they haven't seen The Two Towers or if it's been a minute.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, Two Towers picks up where Fellowship of the Ring left off. Boromir is dead. Gandalf is dead. Merry and Pippin have been captured by orcs. Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas are in pursuit, hoping to save the hobbits, while Frodo and Sam are making their way across the increasingly unpleasant terrain on their way to Mordor. Merry and Pippin, however, escape from the bloodthirsty orcs and flee into a forest where they meet an Ent named Treebeard. Ents are giant, ancient, walking, talking trees, perhaps the most magical creatures in Middle-earth. The hobbits hope to convince the Ents to join the battle against Sauron, but the Ents are hesitant to get involved in the world outside of the forest. It's like, hey, things seem pretty good here right now. Why are we going to mix it up? Little do they know, trouble is just at the edge of their land.
Mm-hmm.
Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli are too late to rescue Merry and Pippin from the orcs, but instead they meet back up with Gandalf, who, spoiler alert, didn't actually die in Moria after all. Gandalf assures them that Merry and Pippin are in good hands and that they should shift their focus to the imperiled kingdom of Rohan. In Rohan, they meet King Theoden, who looks like total shit and only listens to his creepy henchman Wormtongue. Gandalf quickly understands that the king is under a spell, which he breaks, sending Wormtongue fleeing and restoring the king to his true state as a badass zaddy. With the spell broken, the king realizes that Rohan is in danger of being overrun by invading orcs, so he, along with Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn, lead the kingdom to a fortress where they will have to defend their people against an army of 10,000. Meanwhile, Frodo and Sam are making their way toward Mount Doom to destroy the One Ring when they finally meet Smeagol, aka Gollum. Even though Gollum clearly wants the ring and despises the hobbits for keeping it from him, he agrees to lead them into Mordor. As they make the journey, Smeagol begins to like Frodo, and he considers actually helping them destroy the ring. But the Gollum side of him is set on finding a way to kill the hobbits and take the ring for himself. Where the first film is largely focused on teaching us about the Ring, Middle-earth, and introducing us to the members of the Fellowship, the second film is about showing us how dire and fraught the quest truly is. Luckily, there's always a bit of magic and teamwork to give us hope. And that is The Two Towers in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I'm in a nutshell. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot going on.
Three totally divergent stories, you know. The
Right.
first movie was all about bringing these people together. And this movie is all about divide and conquer, I guess, you know. They kind of have to split up to accomplish this insane feat task that they're trying to do.
Gimme Three stories at once.
Mm-hmm.
And I read, or I learned that, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the book, you kind of get one story at a time. Like they do Viggo Mortensen character story, and then they go back and do the Sam and Frodo story. You know, they don't do any cross cutting in the novel.
Yes. Well, so it's 3 novels, but it's 6 books. So each novel is 2 books. Mm-hmm. So book 3 is the first half of the Two Towers, and that's both the Merry and Pippin, Gandalf, Legolas, Aragorn, Gimli. Like that's all of their stories.
Right.
And then the second is just Frodo and Sam, which I have to say, as like a book, I mean, it's an amazing book, but I much prefer going back and forth because
for the film,
spending that much time with that. Even I'm not even saying like as a film, just like in reading the book, it's depressing in the Frodo and Sam part, you know?
Yeah, right.
And the big action sequence that they get to be part of at the end of this film isn't in the book.
Right.
The whole like Osgiliath scene isn't in the book. Well, and this will get only this far with the nerdiness. Some of the stuff that happens right at the beginning of the Return of the King to Sam and Frodo is actually in the second book.
Gotcha.
So they definitely took liberties in like, you know, how they were going to parallel path the stories.
I got to say, once again, definitely liked The Two Towers better on this watch than I did in my initial viewing, 2+ decades ago. And I definitely liked it better than Fellowship of the Ring. I perhaps loved this one, maybe even.
Ooh. So for our audience, by the way, Nick and I haven't really talked about the movie after we watched it because, we're saving it up for you guys.
We're saving it up for you guys. And we also like finished watching it after I had like a 14-hour day on set. So we finished it and I said, yes, okay, over. Now I put on whatever YouTube or something to like relax my brain so I could finally stop thinking. But yes, I think I loved this one. I do feel, as I felt with the last one, and I know I'll feel with the next one, it's too damn long. It's too damn long. But this one has obviously a lot of action, a lot of really well-constructed scenes. The film goes to really dark places, which I like. And more than the action, more than how impressive the scale of these filmmaking achievements are, which we talked about in our last episode, which they're all very impressive. The thing I love the most about The Two Towers is the thematic storytelling. The themes I felt were much stronger in this one than they were in Fellowship of the Ring. And when you have like big bombastic fantasy films like this, you kind of have the wiggle room to go kind of ham with the themes. Like you're allowed to hit it on the nose, and sometimes it's even better when you do that in these kind of like big epics, which they do, and I think it really works. But early in the film, there's this sequence where Saruman's like and his army are just like they're just wreaking havoc on Earth, destroy or Middle Earth, whatever. They're destroying trees. They're ripping apart these peasant neighborhoods and, all in service of this war machine industry. And they're building this evil empire. And I mentioned this in the Fellowship episode, but just the simplicity of that the simplicity of that as the North Star and what everybody's kind of up against and what they're fighting, that's more than enough for me. Those are the elements that I can connect to, that I can relate to, and those elements, those themes are like very present and in your face in this one. And they're darker themes, but hey, it's dark times, so.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I was really moved by the film in like a different way than normal on this watch. And it was kind of like, I think it was the ents were like the final straw of like my emotion, like I was building and building, and then when the ents come out, because they're not going to take action, they're like, well, what can we do? We're just kind of trees, this isn't our part to play in war. And also it's like right now they're in this tranquil forest and they're not aware of what's happening. And then when Merry and Pippin like bring them to the edge of the forest and show them what Saruman's doing to the forest, and they get like so angry and they just go fucking nuts.
Yeah.
One of the coolest sequences of
what
any
what
movie.
Saruman has done to the forest, by the way, is he's fucking chopped down like all their friends.
Yeah, they walk out and like, yes, everything is chopped up, and it used to be this, like Saruman used to be like a good wizard, I guess. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they just see the destruction of nature, right? The destruction of the environment. Yeah, and then they just go crazy, but then we see Rohanians, I believe is what they're called, getting their call to action. Mm-hmm. Like their king was like under a spell, being kind of controlled by power, so to speak. And, he feels like helpless and he doesn't think that they can win. And then people come to their aid, and, and even Sam and Frodo's, the humans could take the ring from them, but they don't. Like, it just was so inspiring to see all of these different groups that are separate, but like all working towards the same common goal of like saving the world from an abusive, power-hungry lord.
Yeah. So we're going to take some stuff beat by beat here.
Sorry, I just want to add one thing, which is that J.R.R. Tolkien always was like, this is not an allegory for World War II. But like, I don't know how it can't be, or at least not be affected by it, considering he was writing during World War II.
Yeah.
And like, lived in Europe. So, he was thinking about other wars and other times when he was writing this book, but it still feels inspiring and apt today.
Well, it's like history repeats itself. So maybe he wasn't writing about World War II. Maybe he was, but if he wasn't, most wars start for one of only a few reasons.
Right. And I just don't think he wanted to pigeonhole his book that way.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's just the book that's really about World War II,
Right.
He's like, I made up a freaking language. This book is about Middle Earth.
Yeah, but with hindsight, like the further you get away from World War II, now if he were to, or like if somebody were to find some journal where he said like, yes, it's about World War II, or find some brainstorm thing, then it'd probably have even more staying power, because then it becomes like a pseudo history book.
Yeah. I always have thought of it as a pseudo history book.
Yeah. So we'll take some of this dark elements that I love kind of piece by piece. And one I'm going to just start with is one of my favorite scenes where Frodo and Sam and Schmeagol is kind of leading them through this shortcut through this marsh, this old battlefield, which is like where this big battle took place, right, Sonja? You can tell us about
where the ring was cut off Sauron's hand.
Okay, so like
it's like the last time that elves and men fought together.
So
right? That's like the significance.
An important landmark. They're moving through this marsh, and we just get this dark imagery, this twisted imagery. We see like remnants of dead soldiers, dead bodies and faces just like floating in this rancid water. And then Frodo falls into the water, and all these haunting ghosts are trying to like pull him like seemingly to hell. And it's just all very foreboding and foreshadowing. And it was That was just a scene where I was like, it was already feeling like darker than Fellowship, but that was the scene where I was like, oh, they're flirting with horror elements in this one, and it's just like they're not really pulling any punches with just how deep and ugly war is, as necessary as this particular war is. They're not shying away from the ugliness of it all.
I love that scene. That's the dead marshes. Yeah, beautiful. Really cool looking scene. And scary. Like totally scary.
Yeah. Now, I think perhaps the best summation of this like good versus evil is this Gollum Schmeagol dual character. Obviously, the introduction to this character is really strong. Him trying to sneak up on Sam and Frodo to like get the precious or whatever. But I mean, for me, thus far, and I don't think it's going to change, but this is the most fascinating character of the trilogy for me because he is kind of the embodiment of, what this ring represents and what power hungry beings can represent. He is good. He is evil. And there's that one scene where the character's talking to himself and he's kind of going through this bipolar episode and he's like switching back and forth between being Gollum and being Schmeagol. And he's fighting with himself about whether or not they're going to like try and so he's going to kill the fat one, and try and like basically trick these hobbits to snatch the ring from him. And they become, the master.
Master? Yes, precious. False. They will cheat you, hurt you, lie. Master's my friend. You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you. Not listening. Not listening. You're a liar. And a thief. No. Murderer. Go away. Go away! I hate you. I hate you. Where would you be without me? Ellen, I saved us. It was me. We survived because of me. Not anymore. What did you say? Master looks after us now. We don't need you. What? Leave now and never come back. No. Leave now and never come back. Leave now and never come back.
This was for me in a movie that has a lot of battle sequences and great action sequences and really amazing effects and character stuff going on. This was the most remarkable and gripping scene to me of the film, just because it shows the inner turmoil that he's going through. But we get a sense that it's kind of like an amalgamation of the inner turmoil that all of Middle Earth is going through as well. And it is one of the few scenes of the trilogy that I remember this scene from when I saw this movie 20 some years ago. I remember the lighting, like I remember the image. I remember the framing. Mm-hmm. I remember the performance. Like that scene stuck with me. So yeah, it's a deft, fascinating character. And that scene is really kind of like that character just firing on all cylinders. And one other thing that I love just about like that character's interaction with both Frodo and Sam is like Frodo always calls him Schmeagol because he sees the good in him, and Sam always calls him Gollum because he only sees the bad in him. So, like his character also has a big effect on Frodo and Sam and like how their development happens as well. So
yeah, I think that scene is like kind of the encapsulation of everything that this trilogy can do right. I mean, besides action, there's no action. But like, you know, you have this mocap CG generated character and you're just completely believe that he is real. And I don't mean like that Gollum, you know, exists in real life, but like he's such a real character.
Yeah.
His emotions and his thought process and his motivations are just as clear, if not more than any other character. You feel for him, if not, you know, more as much, if not more than any other character. And like, it's really, yeah, it's great camera work and lighting, which I think was probably almost all CG as well.
Yeah.
But it's just so well done. I mean, Andy Serkis is like the hero of this movie, in my opinion. Like once Gollum comes in, it just changes everything.
From your viewings of some of the special features on the DVDs and whatnot, what can you tell us just about, like, if you can, if you know about like just the creation of this Gollum character and Andy Serkis's performance with it?
Well, and this is definitely all information that is out there. And I, again, urge the listeners to find, you know, special features on Lord of the Rings because they're really all so well made. Like they put as much effort into making the special features for these movies as they did into making the movies. Like it's kind of incredible and rare. But yeah, I mean, basically he was hired as a voice actor, but during his audition, they recognized the physicality that he had to do to get the voice.
Right.
So they decided to have him be on set in like this really funny looking suit, not like a mocap suit, like weird whitish skin colored, like lycra bodysuit just to act with them. And they would do like an Andy shot and then like a no Andy shot. And they planned to basically use the no Andy shots originally, but just using him for like, you know, kind of blocking and like getting into the scene and for like Frodo and Sam's like coverage.
Right. An actor for Elijah Wood and Sean Astin to work off of.
Exactly. But through the whole process, you know, so now he was now going to be on set every day. So he went from being a couple weeks voice actor to being, you know, there full time with the rest of the cast. And then they realized that it was best to then also do mocap of him, you know, like in a sound stage. So they did that. Yeah, I don't know, I guess for all of his scenes.
Yeah.
And so then what they ended up doing in the end, which was like never the plan, and they're figuring this out like while they're on like a super tight delivery schedule for this movie, they basically painted out real Andy and like placed mocap Andy or Gollum over that, but then also animated. So they like, it was like a combination of mocap and animation.
Wow.
So they like rotoed him out of every shot, basically.
Extremely tedious. And it's that's tough to find that out in the post process as opposed to not knowing that that's what you're going to be doing during production.
Right. Because they had spent years developing the Gollum, you know, animation. And you see in the first film, like the Gollum is not the same. Like he's barely in it. So it's fine. But like it wouldn't have been as good of a movie. Like if that had been the case and they realized that. So they had to kind of just make it up as they went along. You know, some shots are like fully animated. Like, for example, the shot you referenced where he first sneaks up on Sam and Frodo.
Yeah.
He's like crawling down a ledge.
Right.
Like that's not really Andy Serkis, but.
Yeah. And that's the one where it does, you know, like it does look kind of dated. You kind of feel the time pass with the CG on that one.
So yeah, it was just kind of like figure out what was best for every shot and do that situation. So pretty serious.
Yeah, and you know, very memorable character. As I said, that was one of the few scenes that like stuck with me. One of the other few things that I remember from this film, it's really one line, and it's not really the movie that made me remember this. It's Sean Astin saying potatoes when he is making some stew and Gollum asks what the hell he's making, and he's like, "What's taters?" But they made that one of the first like YouTube mashup songs that went viral. You remember that?
No.
Oh, you never saw that, like that potatoes song?
We needs a few good taters.
What's taters, precious? What's taters, huh?
Potatoes. Boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew. Boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew. Boil 'em, mash 'em, boil 'em, boil 'em, boil 'em, mash 'em, boil 'em, boil 'em, boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew. Boil 'em, mash 'em, boil 'em, boil 'em, potato, potato, potato.
But that viral video made me like always remember that. So now when you hear potatoes, it's like, ooh, I think about that song.
I think that scene's really memorable anyway because it's like Gollum brings them food. He's like a dog.
Right.
He like brings them a bunny in his mouth, right? Or like brings them the rabbits. And Sam's so happy to be cooking. It's all very sweet. Although it's so annoying because they don't eat the meal because they see the army coming.
They
and
don't
they
get to eat it. They don't even get to eat it. All that stew gone to waste.
I know. It always makes me hungry. I'm like, never had rabbit stew, but it sounds good.
Stew is one of the all-time great foods.
I know you think that.
Okay, so the final battle in this film's pretty goddamn epic, I love the orcs. And they're pretty badass in this one. The war is epic. As you kind of touched on earlier, one of my favorite episodes of this whole, or elements of this whole war is them tree dudes, they're getting into the action. And when they get into the action, they use like only nature to fight, they're throwing giant boulders, they're summoning these big waterfalls. They of course are stomping out people with their giant trunks. So that was badass. But I do think that there was a missed opportunity at the end. Correct me if I'm wrong, but none of like our heroes, none of the like good guys, principal actors perish in this film, right?
No.
Yeah, I think that's a missed opportunity. I think you got to kill one of these main characters at the end of this film because you got so many of them. But then B, there's like what
characters to spare?
Yeah, you got like fucking 40 characters that are introduced here. It's like, hey, this is a good guy you should like. It's like, really? I've got like 20 that I should like already. So A, you got too many. But B, the one thing that I was, that kind of prevented me from giving this film a 5-star rating is you got these orcs. And in order to make them feel a little bit more formidable, like a true serious threat, they got to kill somebody that matters at the end of this movie. They can't just be wrecking on jobbers all the time, like they got to do something that matters.
I mean, yes. So don't worry, more characters will die in the third movie.
They got damn better.
I think, the big death, which isn't like a character that we know super well, is that elf that shows up.
Oh, please. Yeah, he like got introduced like 30 minutes before that, and they're like expecting me to care about that. I was like, come on.
I think he's in the other movie and or extended versions because I definitely like knew him already. But yes. Yeah, I could see that.
Well, that's my big.
I don't know. It's
that's my big
dire.
note of the film. That's my big note of the film. They should have offed one of the heroes.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, they killed Boromir in the first movie, and you think Gandalf.
Borophil. Yeah.
I don't know, but there was something like there's a shot in there where you see like all these elves lying dead on the ground in Helm's Deep. And for some reason that was like very sad for me.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes, they're not like the main characters.
Yeah. Jobbers, as they say in the wrestling biz.
Yes. Yes, no, I could see that. But there's no one I want to kill.
Well, no, of course not. Nobody want to kill, but I mean that's what stakes is, like that's what makes it hurt. Nobody wants to see their heroes die, but
well, yes. In the last one, aside from the fact that there are maybe too many endings in the next movie, it gets even darker before the dawn.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. There was a few things I missed from not watching the extended version because I forget which is in what version, and I usually watch the extended version when I watch it. And in Helm's Deep, there's like this really fun back and forth with Legolas and Gimli where they're like keeping track of how many people they killed. And like every time Gimli thinks he has a high number, he's like, I've killed 17. And Legolas is like 52. And Gimli's like, damn it.
They had a little bit of that in this.
They threw it in like once.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like an ongoing thing that I thought I've always really liked that. I kind of miss that. In watching the special features, they had 2 scale models built of Helm's Deep. I mean, they had like an actual set that humans could walk on. And then they had a quarter scale or a 1/4 scale model. I forget, like a really small one that they could use for like super like wide establishing shots.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had like a middle-sized one that was like insanely giant and like built in a quarry. I guess that's the one that the people could walk on. So yeah, they like built that whole thing in a quarry. I think it was like 8 weeks of night shoots with the principal actors and even more with the like second unit.
8 weeks of night shoots.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
Yeah. 8 weeks of night shoots is a nightmare. And shooting in a quarry is also a nightmare. Like I've watched behind the scenes of the most recent Mission Impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole part towards the end where they're like capturing the entity in the server or whatever.
Right.
Like that was also in a quarry. And apparently it was just hell. Because it's like, yeah, just like a bunch of chopped up rocks, like a horrible place to be. Probably so awful to breathe it in.
Ugh. God almighty.
So
for our listeners, if you've never worked on night shoots or if you've never worked a graveyard in some other job, you know, it's like, man, your whole clock, your whole world gets shifted upside down, you know. You don't know left is right and down is up, and it's all very disorienting. And the longer you do it, the more disorienting it becomes, actually. You'd think you'd get used to it. No, it just fucks you up more and more the more that you do it.
I mean, I don't think I've done more than a week of night shoots, if that. And it was like a nightmare.
Yeah, it's...
No pun intended.
It's tough, yeah. I used to be a censor for a local public access trash TV network, and this particular TV network had a lot of censoring that needed happening. So it was the night shift. We had to do things to stay awake. Let's just leave it at that. But it was rough. It was a rough time.
Well, and then you also weren't dressed up as an orc fighting a battle with a rain machine.
Yeah, right. This whole rain's going. These guys have been through the makeup chair for God knows how long. These are the things it takes to make a classic, everybody. Blood, sweat, and tears.
And I think that they all knew it, you know? Or so they say now. But yeah, it was like, all right, we're just going to do it, but it's going to suck. But yes, I think that the culmination of the film is like, there's this Helm's Deep battle that we were just talking about, which is like this huge, huge battle, 10,000 orcs fighting to try to get through into this fortress with 1,000 people, 500 people defending it.
Yeah, they're outnumbered.
It just feels there's no chance.
Yeah.
There's no chance. And it's so awesome. I mean, I remember when that scene started and all the orcs are like just standing there, like banging their rods, whatever, like long poles they're holding. And you're just like imagining being in that fortress looking down and like, you're like, we are so screwed. Mm-hmm. Like there's no way out.
Yeah.
Like all hope is lost. And then concurrently, you have this amazing thing where the Ents are called to action and they just destroy Saruman's castle, Isengard. And it makes you so happy to watch it. And it's so creative. Each of the trees like really has its own unique look. And you see them just doing like wild things. You know, one gets his head catches on fire, so he like dunks it in water.
Yeah.
It's always like one of my favorite shots in the movie. So that's really like amazing. And you're so happy because Merry and Pippin like played this part after being like such derelict fuck ups in the first movie.
Yeah. They were
and
totally
then,
redeemed themselves.
Yeah. And then Frodo and Sam are captured and taken to Osgiliath, which is also a human city that's like on the border of Mordor. That's sort of like the front line of the battle for a different kingdom, which we will learn about in the next film. And it seems like all hope is lost there. It has one of my favorite Frodo moments of the whole movie, where it's like a high angle shot of him and the Nazgul, like the ring wraiths, are coming, and he can sense them because he has the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, they're here. They've come. And he like looks so otherworldly and like just disturbed. Like that last hour of that movie is edge of your seat watching, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it could still be shorter, but yes, it's good stuff. It's long, and the build up to the final battle, oh my gosh, it's like, oh, let's get into it. We know what's going to happen. We know where we're going, so let's go there. I cannot believe that there's an extended version of this. Like, it'll never cease to not baffle me. Like, what more do you need? You need less.
Well, there's actually a whole like flashback scene with Boromir that's really good.
Borophil.
I think the one thing that I would cut out of this movie, if I was to cut something, is, and it's also, I don't think it's in the book, is when the like hyena creatures attack the Rohan people when they're on the way to Helm's Deep. That's when Aragorn gets like knocked off the cliff.
Yeah.
But like that doesn't really amount to anything in the end. You're like, okay, yes, they got attacked, suck. Oh, Aragorn fell off a cliff. Like nobody thinks Aragorn is dead.
Right.
That would be crazy. You know, so you have like some nice moments, like the part where the horse rescues him is really nice. But like, I don't think you need that. And apparently that was like one of the most difficult sequences for the VFX team, because all of those warg hyena characters were like 100% CG.
Yeah. And they look like
and they just shot like the actors like running around doing things like, you know, swinging their swords. And then they're like, okay, now we have to put in creatures.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if they don't look great. It's not the best looking sequence, but it's also like unnecessary because you know that they're in danger already. Like it's not establishing something that you don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would cut that, and I would put back in the Boromir flashback because it's nice to see him again, and like nice context for
which one's Boromir?
The one who gets shot at the first movie at the end. The like other man.
Oh, right,
who wanted to take the ring from Frodo.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
He's from Gondor.
Right, the human.
Yeah. So Gondor, he's from Gondor. That's where Osgiliath is. And the other guy, Faramir, the one that captures Frodo and Sam and takes them to Osgiliath, is his brother.
Yeah.
Right. Having the flashback does do something for the character. And it does kind of like bring back some of the stuff from the first movie of like, but like, you know, this guy wasn't always bad. He was good. So yeah, anyway, I'd put that in and take out the wargs, but that's just me.
Let's end this by talking about Sam's final monologue, which I think is really quite wonderful and pushed it over the edge of liking to loving for me with the Two Towers, which I was not expecting because I gotta say, Sam, not my favorite character by a long shot, but he sticks to the landing with this movie, talking some really powerful stuff about, you know, sticking through these dark times and fighting the good fight and getting through the bleakness to get to, you know, the sun shining again. And there's good in this world, and that's worth fighting for. And, it's like that, man, goddamn, this is a monologue I think we all need to hear right now in these tumultuous times that can feel a bit overwhelming or hopeless. Keep pushing, keep fighting the good fight. This was a good ending to this film.
It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo. The ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end. Because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing. This shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it'll shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you. That meant something. Even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going. Because they were holding on to something. What are we holding on to, Sam? That there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo. And it's worth fighting for.
It's really great. And yes, Sam's a little hokey, but Frodo needs Sam. Imagine if he was just with Gollum.
Yeah, no, I mean...
He needs the pep talk. He needs the stew and the potatoes.
Yeah, no, I mean, he serves a purpose. Just he's not my favorite, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think he's anyone's favorite. But yeah, no, I agree.
He's no Rudy. He's no Rudy. I'll say that.
Oh. But yeah, I agree. It's a great monologue. I mean, and they talked about how difficult for this middle film it was to figure out how to start it and how to end it.
Mm-hmm.
Since it doesn't, technically have a beginning and an end.
Right.
And I think they do a bookend, like the bookend is that speech, and the opening is showing what really happened when Gandalf was fighting the monster in Moria.
Right.
When you thought he died. And it's like really awesome. And yeah, they did a really good job creating a beginning, like a strong intro and a strong ending to this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think the much stronger ending than Fellowship of the Ring. That's for dang sure.
Yeah, that one kind of just peters out.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. I agree. Although I know we keep talking about the next movie. The opening of the next movie is so good.
Well,
you are going to love it.
We'll see about that.
Like, I think all three, the opening of the first one is obviously great because it's like the story of the ring. You're going to like the beginning of this next one. And then you'll like all 5 of the endings as well.
Well, I like this one. As I said, I think I loved it. So we're already in the plus. We're already in the positive as we revisit this trilogy, or as I revisit this trilogy, I should say. You obviously are a massive fan. So are you happy, Sonja?
I'm so happy. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to wrap it up next week with Return of the King, but that wraps it up for this episode with The Two Towers. For those of our listeners who want to let us know what you guys think of The Two Towers, let us know what you think of this trilogy, you can message us on Instagram, Gimme Three Podcast. That's GIMME, spell out 3 podcast. Gimme Three Podcast. Our co-host Bella puts up polls every now and then. We like to hear from our audience about what we should watch. If you want to drop us a line and let us know what you want to hear us talk about. If you've got theme ideas, if you've got movies you want to hear us talk about, or if you want to be a guest on the show, drop into our DMs on Gimme Three Podcast at Instagram. You can also send us a text message if you scroll down to our episode description and click on the link that says send us a text message. It's going to go directly into our inbox. And if you like the show and you want to support the show, there's a few ways to do that. 3 ways to do that, in fact. You can download our episodes. If you set our podcast to automatically download on whatever podcast platform you listen to, it really helps out our algorithm. It really helps out the show. The second way is that we have a Patreon for a mere $5 a month, which is cheaper than pretty much breathing these days. You can support our show. Keeps the microphones on. There is some bonus content as well on there. And then finally, just share the podcast with friends who are cinephiles, perhaps friends who are Lord of the Rings fans, perhaps friends who are fans of Sean Astin. Share our podcast with your friends.
All your Sean Astin super fan friends.
Yeah, exactly. Sonja, do you want to let the lovely folks know where they can find you on Letterboxd?
Yes. You can find me at Sonja M, Sonjam, also known as Sonjam.
Sonjam.
And I really do recommend just sitting and watching some of these behind the scenes featurettes they made for The Lord of the Rings. They're really inspiring, even if you're not in the film industry. It's just inspiring to see like the ingenuity, creativity, and like work ethic of everybody involved in these movies.
Check it out. Let us know what you think of those as well. And if you guys want to follow me on Letterboxd, on Instagram, or on Blue Sky, you can follow me at Nicholas Ybarra. Ybarra is spelled with a Y. Thank you all for listening to the Gimme Three podcast, and we will see you at the movies.